Hey everybody. This has been one of my most requested videos lately. This is going to be an emotions tier list. So we're just going to kind of go through a list of different emotions we got pulled up here and rank these based on how good they are. Let me try something real quick. Perfect. Okay. So first up, we have amusement. You can see this fellow laughing with his girlfriend, maybe. Amusement's pretty good. Amusement's a pretty good emotion. It's not as good as some others, but I like being amused. Throw that one into B. That one could go up to A. We'll see how the rest of the list shakes out. Next up, we have anger. Who likes anger? Am I right? So that's I'm thinking C or D. I don't like being angry, but, I think it's good to be angry sometimes, because that way you're still alive and everything. So I don't think this one's absolute bottom of the bucket emotion. So we're going to keep that one in C. What's this next one? This is anticipation. This guy is, pretty happy or excited, I guess, about something, which is cool. I think this anticipation is close to B, I could even see A on anticipation, but B. Actually, I'm going to go A on anticipation, because anticipation is very often better than the actual, experience. Often I'm more excited for something than it ends up being good. I enjoy looking forward to something more than I actually enjoy something. That's kind of life in general, so that one's going to go in A. This next one, this girl looks very upset. I'm not actually sure which... I think this is anxiety. Yeah, this is anxiety. I struggle with anxiety a lot myself, a lot of the times anxiety is almost the opposite of anticipation in a lot of ways. You could even say they're antonyms. Anxiety's worse most of the time than, the actual experience. That's a common phrase. Anxiety is, getting hurt double, because you hurt yourself on top of the actual experience hurts you. So anxiety sucks. I'm bearish on anxiety. I'm throwing anxiety in D. Alright, this next one is awe. A-W-E. Awe's awesome. Yeah, awe is great. Fuck. I'm gonna go ahead and give that one an S tier ranking. Awe is one of the best parts of being a human, actually. Doesn't get much better than awe at the end of the day. TBH. Alright, next up we have confusion. Confusion nobody really likes confusion, not a very pleasurable thing. But at least confusion, you're being exposed to something new information. It's not stasis. We're going to put confusion in C tier. This one is contentment. Contentment's underrated, I think. A lot of people kind of sleep on contentment. There's few things out there that are quite as pleasurable. No, pleasurable is not the right word, but quite as nice as being content, when your needs are taken care of. When I think of contentment, I think of like a cat, who's belly is full, just ate a mouse or a rat or whatever. Or I picture Tony Soprano right after he fucks some hooker, he's content, he's big and fat and just laying there and happy. That one's going in A tier. What is this? Oh, this one's curiosity. Curiosity is a great emotion. More of a conceptual emotion, actually. Barely even an emotion in the traditional sense, but I like curiosity. I think some of the best people are curious. That's something a trait basically all the people I admire really share, is that they have a ongoing curiosity about the world. They're never complacent. So that one's going in A tier. This next one is despair. I'll be honest, not a fan of despair. Despair is one of my least favorite emotions. When I think of somebody in a state of despair, that's almost never a good thing. Very rare for despair to be good. So that one's D tier for sure. This next one is disgust. This girl's grossed out. Disgust, I think, has to go in D tier, right? I mean, there's nothing good about disgust. In some cases, disgust can be productive, like scat porn. No, that thought didn't make any sense. I'm gonna put disgust in D tier unless you're into scat. If you're into scat, it goes up to S tier, but that's not what this video is about. This next one is empathy. Empathy is a great emotion, you know. Empathy is one of the most useful tools we have. You know, I'd say if you're in any sort of people-facing field, empathy is key to what you do. It can feel really good too. I mean, even if you're with somebody understanding that they're sad and you empathize with them, you feel sad with them, that can be a great sensation because it's a reminder at least that we're not totally alone in life, you know, that you can find other people out there and relate to them. So that one's going in B. Not any higher because, you know, sometimes empathy sucks too. Like, I hate it when somebody else is sad and I feel sad because wasting my time. But still, anyways, good emotion. This next one I believe is envy. Envy. I mean, the whole Bible says, you know, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. So that's a pretty clear sign that this one's been out of style for a couple thousand years at least. I mean, envy, there's nothing, you know. I'm going to go C tier for envy. Because also envy can be motivating, though. Like, envy can, like, make you work harder to attain stuff for yourself. But generally speaking, envy's not great. This one's excitement. I don't know how this is different from anticipation exactly. But excitement, I'm going to put at the A tier, right next to anticipation. It's cool to be excited for things, you know? It's another sign that you're still alive, that you're still capable of being hopeful that new experiences are good and stuff. So yeah, we'll throw that one in A tier. This next one is fear. You can see this guy is doing like the Home Alone thing. Fear, we're going to go C tier on fear. Generally speaking, you know, fear is no fun. People don't really love fear. But at the same time, you have like roller coasters and horror movies and haunted houses. So clearly there's something there. I mean, we got a whole holiday dedicated to fear with Halloween. I'm going to move fear up a little bit. Fear we're going to put on C tier because, top of C tier. Because fear can, like, give you adrenaline and stuff. And some people are adrenaline junkies, you know. So that's, yeah. No further explanation needed. Frustration we got right here. I hate the feeling of being frustrated. Frustration's separate from anger because, like, you know, it's like you're hitting your head against a wall. You're, like, really trying to get somewhere and you can't. D tier. I'm going to put it below disgust, but ahead of despair. What is this next one? Gratitude. Gratitude. This is another kind of conceptual emotion. How is it to feel gratitude? Gratitude is sick, though. But I don't... Do you feel gratitude? I feel gratitude. It's kind of sick when you feel gratitude. That can really make you feel more connected to other people. And this is a rarer emotion, you know. This is one you don't get to see very often. But, like, getting a great gift and knowing that somebody truly loves you, awesome. A tier. Guilt. Not a fan of guilt, folks. Guilt sucks because it's not... This is something somebody told me one time, is guilt's not a productive emotion. It doesn't really get you anywhere to feel it. Like, if you feel like you've done something wrong, it's best to acknowledge what you did wrong and do what you can to learn from it and then move on. Um, Guilt as an emotion doesn't do you much good to experience consistently. Just put that one in C. Because I do think guilt, though, is necessary to regulate human interactions. You know, society kind of requires guilt. If you never feel guilty when you do stuff that's bad, you know, you're not gonna last all that long. The next one is hope. Hope, pretty low tier, honestly. Not as bad as guilt or envy, but it's pretty low. I'd say it's worse than confusion, because the problem with hope is hope itself isn't bad, but it's just going to let you down in the end. You're not going to really get anywhere thanks to hope. Nothing ever ends up as good as you want it to. All your hopes and dreams ultimately end in, you know, failure and despair. So really, I mean, if you consider this one usually leads to despair, this one could realistically go even lower. But we're going to keep it in C tier, because you do need hope sometimes, or else, you know, you'll just get depressed, and that's a bitch. Insecurity is next. Insecurity, we're going to put in C tier. Insecurity leads to a lot of kind of unfortunate stuff. You know, it's not really good to be insecure. Actually, I'm going to move insecurity up to B tier. Because insecurity also drives people to improve themselves. You know, I think that you can improve yourself through self-love or through self-hatred, and both are pretty valid. It just kind of depends. You know, a lot of my biggest experiences of self-improvement have come out of just pure resentment for myself. And, you know, that's naturally relies on insecurity. So that one's, yeah, we're going to throw that one in B tier, because it's not pleasant still, but it's necessary. Joy. This one is joy. Joy is a huge emotion, very important. It's sick when you feel joyful. It's a rare emotion, you know, to feel true joy, unbridled by the moment, unbridled by your insecurities, but I think joy definitely belongs in S. Loneliness. Loneliness is another bitch. We're going to throw loneliness down in D tier. Loneliness is another emotion that's not productive. It doesn't really get you anywhere. It's self-reinforcing. If you're lonely, you're going to be sad. If you're sad, you're going to be less social. If you're less social, you're going to be more lonely. So loneliness can kind of become a self-reinforcing negative feedback loop, just a cycle of loneliness, despair, shame, guilt. We've all been there, so nothing more needs to be said. All right, this next one I believe is love. Yeah, love is an easy S tier. Love kind of rules. It's dope. If you've never been in love, highly recommend it, to be honest. Doesn't get too much better than that. Not much else to say. Alright, next one is, I think this is nostalgia, actually. Nostalgia, that's an interesting one. I like nostalgia. I like stuff from my past that makes me remember that, you know, I've been happy before. Sometimes you forget that, you know, you're like, oh, I forget what true happiness feels like, because you're a little pussy, you know? And nostalgia can remind you of, like, when you were a kid and things weren't so bad, or when you were with somebody and things were better then. So nostalgia, yeah, when you're in a time of crisis, sort of, nostalgia can become a real anchor for you. So we're going to put that one in A tier. Not higher, because it's better to be, like, joyous, you know? It's better to be actively in the moment enjoying something rather than just reminiscing about when something used to be good. But nostalgia is still pretty chill. This next one is pride. Another one the Bible has a big problem with is pride. I think that's one of the sins or something. I don't know. Pride, you know, it's good to feel pride sometimes. We're going to throw this one in B tier. Pride can breed complacency, you know? If you're too prideful, you'll stop trying to improve yourself. But at the same time, if you're never prideful, you're going to be always sad. So sometimes you have to take stock of your accomplishments, you know? You have to kind of look at where you are, where you've come from, what you've accomplished. Can't always be trying to just improve yourself, or you'll never be happy. So pride goes in B tier. This next one is sadness. Don't really love sadness myself. But at the same time, if you didn't have sadness, you'd also never feel joy. So it's not all bad. C tier. And this last one apparently is shame. Shame is similar to guilt. Is there a different... Alexa, what's the difference between shame and guilt?
Here is an answer from an Alexa Answers contributor that I translated. Guilt follows transgression and activates the anguish of punishment, while shame is accompanied by the perception of a total or partial failure of one's dignity and by the feeling of the danger of emotional abandonment. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, close enough.
Thanks for your feedback.
I guess shame is worse than guilt. Yeah, we're gonna put shame worse than guilt, but not as bad as disgust. Shame, you know, I guess the difference is guilt is like a reaction to something you did, like an action. Shame is like a sense of sort of type of being, like you are ashamed of yourself, whereas I feel guilty. So shame is maybe more persistent, you know, it's like I'm just a fucking failure, you know. I've squandered every relationship I've ever had, you know, I can't hold down a job. My family, it's a miracle they still love me. You know, that's maybe closer to shame. Yeah, so that's it.